Utpal ji, we are live now.
नमस्कार, बहुत बहुत स्वागत आप सबका जो हमको फेसबुक लाइव पर देख रहे हैं। मैं उत्पल कोल ग्लोबल कश्मीरी पंडित डायस्पोरा की तरफ से आप सबका स्वागत करता हूं, वेलकम करता हूं, खुशामदीद करता हूं। I, on behalf of global Kashmiri Pandit diaspora, welcome all of you who are watching this very, very important webinar on restoration of temples in Kashmir. It's a very, very important topic, and I am fortunate, and we are fortunate that we have very eminent panel with us, those who are very much concerned with temples, who are actually on ground level, working in different ways to restore, to preserve our thousands of years old heritage of Kashmir. In fact, that is the soul of Kashmir, that is the soul of Hinduism, and that is the soul of our soul. So with us is my guru, Bharat Bhushan Bhattji. Bharat ji is in public life for more than 55 years. We were working together 50 years back also. At present, he is president of Zishta Devi Prabandhak Committee, which is the one temple which is working perfectly nicely. And I think they have nearly anything between 30 to 40 rooms. And it is home, away from home, when persons, people who are in Delhi, in Jammu, and in different parts of world, they come in summer for Amarnath Darshan or for going to Kheer Bhavani. They visit and they stay at Zishta Devi. They have a lot of big plan. They are constructing new temple, and they want to add some 100 rooms in Zishta Devi. We will listen more about that when Bharatji will be there. We have Virender Ji Raina with us. Virender Ji is an activist in Panun Kashmir for long, and at present he is president of Panun Kashmir. He lives in Jammu, and also he is connected with Premnath Bhatt. We is a group dedicated to Premnath Bhattji, who sacrificed his life in Kashmir, who was assassinated in Anantnag. And they have taken this responsibility of temple bill. And this temple bill is a very, very important issue. And we will listen about that when Virenderji will talk to us. We have senior activist, I can call him leader, activist, inspirational personality, Shri Rakesh Ji. Rakesh Ji is like our big brother. He is an IITian, and I think for more than 50 years, 55 years, he is in US. He lives in US, but people don't know, many people don't know that he is still Indian citizen. Even after living so many years, more than 5 decades in US, Rakesh Ji is still Indian citizen, and Bharat Mata unke dil mein hai, Bharat Mata unke atma mein hai. और उठते बैठते सोते जागते कश्मीर की चिंता करते हैं, कश्मीर पर काम करते हैं. And he has written 2 books on Kashmir, and he has written numerous articles on history, culture, our heritage, and on political situation, on exodus. He has done a lot of work on Kashmir and on Kashmiri Pandit community. Thank you very much, Rakesh Ji, joining us and enlightening us about Kashmir and about different aspects of Kashmir. We will be fortunate and we will become rich when we will listen about Kali temple, which we are going to talk this evening and this morning in US. Let me tell you, and I have to thank every time we have a Dr. Shafalika Ban Kotwal from London. I say that she controls us from London. She is an inspirational personality. She is with great energy. And I think she is every time ready when we have to do some work on Kashmir. She is in the front row to do anything for Kashmir. She spends a lot of time. And thank you very much, Shafalika ji. According to Kalhan's Rajatarangni, I have studied Rajatarangni quite a bit from cover to cover and tried to understand it when I was doing my post-graduation in Kashmir University. Then I thought this is the proper text. I must do my pre-doctoral on Rajatarangni and Nilmat Puran and on Kshemendra's works. That was my study in way back in 1980 in Kashmir University. So if we carefully understand what Kalhan says, Kalhan Pandit says that there were more than 100,000 temples in Kashmir. 1,00,000 से ज्यादा मंदिर कश्मीर में थे. कश्मीर में कोई जगह, कोई गांव, कोई बस्ती ऐसी नहीं थी जहां मंदिर नहीं था. कश्मीर में खाली हिंदू मंदिर नहीं थे, लेकिन बौद्धों के विहार भी थे, बौद्ध की मॉनेस्ट्रियां भी थी, और एक नहीं, दो नहीं, ये भी सौ और हजारों की तादाद में थी. कल्हन ने राजतरंगी में पूरा व्याख्यान किया है कि कैसे, जिसको हम बोलते हैं खानबल से खादन यार तक, वेतस्ता के सोर से लेकर एंड तक, या पूरे कश्मीर मंडल में कहां कहां पर मंदिर थे, एक एक करके उन सबके नाम दिए हैं. लेकिन 13th सेंचुरी में पहली बार ऐसा देखने को आ गया जब विदेशी ताकतें, when foreign invaders, they came to Kashmir. They played lot of games and tricks. That is not today's topic. And we see first time in 13th century, huge big temples of Kashmir. Kali temple in the Srinagar city and Martand in Anantnag district. The biggest sun temple of Indian subcontinent was in Kashmir. The biggest Kali temple was in Kashmir, and both of them were destroyed. And then it was not allowed to rebuild. It was not allowed to have restoration of these temples. And for 500 years, almost no temple activity was in the valley of Kashmir when medieval times, when Islamic rule was in Kashmir. But some change, and major change, happened in 1819 when Sikhs arrived in the scene, and then Dogras took over. And so we see again the temple activity in Kashmir. We see the restoration of temples. We see some new temples. And to cut it short, in fact, in Kashmir, we had anything 1,600 temples. We call it as active temple. जहां मंदिर में पूजा होती थी, अर्चना होती थी, कश्मीर में ये 1600 से भी ज्यादा 1990 में। लेकिन 1985 में क्या हुआ कि अनंतनाग डिस्ट्रिक्ट में मंदिर चलाए गए, और 1990 में जब कश्मीर हिंदू का पलायन हुआ, कश्मीर से एक्सोडस हुआ, when exodus happened in Kashmir, within 3 years, within 2 years, more than 500 temples were destroyed, burnt, और कई का तो नामो निशान खत्म किया गया। मैं एक चीज यहां बोलना चाहता हूं कि हजारों सालों से हर एक मंदिर के पास इतनी जमीन थी कि उसकी जो हार्वेस्ट आती थी, उसकी जो पैदावार होती थी, और उससे वो मंदिर का पुजारी का और मंदिर का मेंटेनेंस होता था। तो इसलिए एवरी टेम्पल हैड सफिशिएंट लैंड, जितना बड़ा मंदिर उतनी बड़ी जमीन। जैसे हारी पर्वत में शारी का मंदिर है, पोखरीबल में मंदिर है, जिष्टा देवी का मंदिर है, खीर भवानी का मंदिर है। हर एक मंदिर के साथ उसकी एक, संस्कृत में इसको बोलते हैं अग्रहारा, जो कलहन भी कहता है कि इतनी जमीन दी इस राजा ने इस मंदिर के लिए। लेकिन आज लैंड माफिया ने उन जमीनों पर भी कब्जा करना शुरू कर दिया, और आज हम कुछ मंदिर जो हम बोल सकते हैं जहां सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस है वो सेफ है। हमारा रैनावारी में विताल भैरव मंदिर, जो खाली मंदिर नहीं, एक बहुत बड़ी सोशल एक्टिविटी होती थी वहां पर। वहां ड्रामा होते थे, वहां स्टेजेस होते थे, वहां बहुत ही जबरदस्त तरीके से एक्टिविटी होती थी। और सुबह हम जिसको बोलते हैं तर्पण और संध्या करने के लिए सुबह 500 लोग आते थे, और आज वहां पर कुछ नहीं है। तो ये सारी मैंने एक इंट्रोडक्शन दे दी, और अभी सरकार कुछ हमारे प्रयास से, कुछ हिंदू ने प्रयास किए, कई ऑर्गेनाइजेशनों ने प्रयास किए, हम सबको धन्यवाद करते हैं जिनने प्रयास किया है। तो कुछ टेम्पलों में मरम्मत, रेस्टोरेशन का काम कर रहे हैं, बट इट इज टू लिटिल, टू स्मॉल, टू लेट। और हमको कुछ पता लगा कि 114 मंदिर सिलेक्ट किए गए हैं सब डिस्ट्रिक्टों में, 10 डिस्ट्रिक्टों में, जिसमें ये रेस्टोरेशन का काम होगा। लेकिन ये बहुत ही नाकामी है, ये बहुत ही कम है। वी वांट मोर टू बी डन। इट वाज जस्ट एन इंट्रोडक्शन, आई डोंट वांट टू टेक मच टाइम। मैं निवेदन करूंगा, रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा अपने आदरणीय राकेश जी को। he has some very good research paper, वो हमको बताना चाहते हैं, पढ़ना चाहते हैं, so that we enrich, हमको कुछ ज्ञान हासिल हो। धन्यवाद। राकेश जी।
Utpal ji, thank you. Today is the 20th of January, the day for us to renew ourselves and be resurgent. And we start with paying obeisance to our sacred energy centers. Kashmir was a very simple place. The gods resided on the mountain peaks. The goddesses were flow in the rivers. Now, there were exceptions, and they were the rarest spots which the mountain peak would meet the flow of the water. And Utpalji, to me, you are certainly a younger brother. You are certainly an inspiration, but you symbolize for me, you are the mountaintop. And the gods were given the mountaintops because the gods symbolized freedom. Shiva symbolized freedom. The rivers, the flow were the energy, and they were the goddesses. And you, to me, Utpalji, are the mountaintop, the freedom. Advaitani, who you know I respect enormously, is the energy. and your blessed son Aditya is the meeting point, and I will talk about 3.5 sacred centers of Kashmir that we are very familiar with. And the first one I want to start off with is Shankaracharya Temple. Now, for most of us, we revere this temple. We all know the story of its history. We know how it was named Shankaracharya. We go visit Kashmir now as tourists. We climb up to the Shankaracharya mountain and we take photographs that we post on social media. There was a tourist who came to Kashmir just like us. And his name was Shah Jahan, Emperor Shah Jahan. He is popularly known as the builder of Taj Mahal. What is less well known is that Shah Jahan repaired the ceiling of this temple, but because he had arranged for the ceiling of the temple to be repaired, he decided that it gave him the right to put Persian and Arabic inscriptions in the inner sanctum. And with one of the translations being that he built it. What did he build? Did he build a ceiling? Did he build a temple? The radical revisionist historians of Kashmir nowadays argue that he actually built this temple. But Emperor Shah Jahan did not stop there. Emperor Shah Jahan built a mosque in front of the temple. And this mosque was commented upon by Bernier. It was commented upon by Said Ali in his Tariq to Kashmir. So, why is it that we don't see that mosque? We don't see that mosque because most likely during the reign of Pratap Singh, when he was renovating the temple and electrification was undertaken, especially because the Maharaja of Mysore came and said that he would pay for the searchlights, 5 of them around the temple, 1 at the top, it was cleaned up. Shah Jahan was only continuing the destructive mission which had been started by Sultan Sikandar. And as eminent Professor Shashi Shekhar Toshkani ji has written, this center originally had huge other structures, residential quarters, where there were 300 murtis of gods and goddesses. So it was not just Shiv alone, but he had his complete panoply of 300 gods and goddesses. When you go to see that lingam, you don't realize that the original lingam isn't there. The one that we see was installed in 1907. The original one had Vasuki Nag that encircled. When you go to Shekhacharya, you don't realize, as Utpalji mentioned, that there was a very famous Buddhist monastery. And amongst its fame, besides that it was located on the crest, which would catch the first rays of the rising sun, besides its claim to fame that it had a miraculous tooth of the Buddha preserved it since the time of Buddha, it was also a monastery where the head of that monastery was a woman. Reflecting the incredible culture of Kashmir, the historic culture, which of course now has been replaced by patriarchal culture, where Pandita Lakshmi was a very famous Buddhist nun. That Buddhist monastery is nowhere. The great Kashmiri Kalchakra teacher, Naropa, came and stayed at a vihara called Pushpahari. Its most likely location is considered to be within the private estate of Maharaja Karan Singh. You don't see it. So it is important for us to know how, when we gaze at what has survived is a very minuscule representation of the grandeur that our ancestors had created. And what will these radical revisionist writers now tell us? They are betrayed by their own kind. Even after hundreds of years of destruction that has never been seen in any other part of the world, when Mirza Muhammad Hyder Duglat Beg, who ruled Kashmir, describes Kashmir, he talks about the lofty buildings there, all greater than 5 stories high. He said the beauty of their exterior defies description. And he said, when you behold them for the first time, you bite the finger of astonishment with the teeth of admiration. Yam kya vanan is? Yaman oos kya? They were beggars when they entered Kashmir. They were filled with envy. Mirza Duglat Beg goes on to say that amongst these buildings, first and foremost, amongst the wonders of Kashmir, stand her temples. He goes on to describe the remarkable construction, how these were built, and what were the interiors like, what was the ornamentation. He says, I'm incapable of describing it. And then he concludes by saying, in the rest of the world, there is not to be seen or heard of one building like this. How wonderful that there should be here in Kashmir 150. Let me move on now to another damning inscription. There was a gentleman, Hamdani. He came to Kashmir. My point is not to focus on him because we're talking about the temples. But one of his hagiographers describes him as such. Hamdani cleaned the mirrors of the hearts of the converts of Kashmir from the rust of darkness by showing them the right path. Okay, that's his fanboy. I am now going to show you a book. It's a small book, Houseboating in Kashmir. And this book was like many of the books that tourists who came to Kashmir wrote. It was written by Alberta Johnson Dennis. And she happened to go to the Khanka Maulla. And she, not as Kashmiri Pandits, she writes, Shah Hamdan was a holy man according to the Muhammadans of Kashmir. Oh, by the way, the book was written in 1934, and she was an American. And Americans are pretty blunt. So she says Shah Hamdan was a holy man according to the Muhammadans of Kashmir. But whatever he may actually have been in their loyalty to him, at least they, his followers, were intolerant. To this day, this is evidenced in the inscription elaborately carved on the veranda over the entrance, which translated reads as follows. This is the tomb of Shah Hamdan, who was a great saint of God. Whoever does not believe this, may his eyes be blinded, and if he still does not believe it, may he go to hell. Ye kuch chuka. Who does this? Who writes this kind of language in a place of spirituality? And the deniers are damned by their own writers. It is not Baharistani Shahi alone that writes that originally there was the temple of Kali. But even Haidar Badakshi in the Makbar al-Jawahir, which is a Persian hagiography, a copy of that manuscript ended up in the British Library. So luckily we can source it from there. There, in that manuscript, it's written, Alaluddinpur in the city of Kashmir, at the place of Mata Saraswati. They didn't understand the difference between Saraswati and Kali, so they referred to the temple as Saraswati. Along the banks of the river Vitasta, he had constructed his throne-like Khanka, which is known in Kashmir as the Dargah of Hadrati Shahi Humda or Khan-e-Maula. Let's be real. The Kashmiri Pandits have fought for this truth. When the Glancy Commission came, they said, look, these are squatters. This was taken away by force. And that is true of all of the ziyarats. When you look at the basement, when you look at the ground floor, it's all Hindu. And when you look at the first row, it's all takeover. Now, this is not something that the Kashmiri Pandits in ancient times did not try to reason with their Muslim counterparts. Srivara, the historiographer, who served during the time of Badshah, when one could actually have a civilized conversation, did engage with his Muslim counterparts. And we have evidence that he presented his arguments very rationally. And he said to them, the 6 major collections of Prophet Muhammad's traditions, the Hadith, include Prophet Muhammad's command that graves be on the ground level, and he prohibited building structures over graves. All the 4 major schools of Sunni Islamic jurisprudence were opposed to tomb structures and regarded the decoration of tombs as reprehensible. He was a scholar. He used valid arguments. But to appropriators, driven by violence, wanting to get windfall assets, it did not stop. I want to move to my last and final story. In our framework, where mountains are gods and represent the peak of freedom, where rivers are energy and represent the flow, the highest place is where this flow is at a mountaintop. And so it is natural that we gave springs that were inside caves on mountaintops the greatest value. And Amarnath cave was supreme to us. But what has been lost is that it was especially important to the Kshatriya culture of Kashmir. That whenever Kashmir's rulers experience great challenges, it is to Amarnath that they went to gain new energy. History tells us that when Achla attacked Kashmir and Kota Rani faced him, her husband, Udyan Dev, had actually gone to Amarnath to seek Shiva's blessing. And Kota Rani did kill Achla and defeated his army. History tells us that when the king of Nepal lost his kingdom, he came to Amarnath after. So Amarnath, everybody knows all of the fraudulent stories about the shepherd and all that stuff. But I want to focus on a different story, which doesn't get that much attention. The Amarnath Yatra would start with the Kashmir Mandala. It would start with Pujan in Belgaum, Nandi Center, Pahalgam today, called Pahalgam, Belgaum. There would be Pujan in Shankaracharya Temple. There would be Pujan in Sharika Mandir. And then on to Amarnath Cave. Nowadays, this is led by the Dashnami Akhada. These Akhadas were set up by Shankaracharya. And they have a very small temple in Srinagar. The Jamaat Islami made sure that they opened their office right across. They attacked it countless times. But what is forgotten is that in the genocide of 1990, their terrorists forced entry, caused a devastating fire, so much so that the CRPF suffered heavy injuries. So we have to understand that for 700 years, there has been a mission to destroy the sacred energy centers of Kashmir, and that mission has arisen because they know as long as there is one center in Kashmir that is a beacon of light that gives freedom, that gives bliss, that is aligned with nature, their man-made construct will fall. Thank you.
नमस्कार राकेश जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। ज्ञानपूर्वक एनलाइटनिंग लेक्चर। और मुझे तो आपसे ये मैं माफी चाहूंगा कि आपका जो उद्बोधन था, आपका जो लेक्चर था, इट नीड्स एटलीस्ट 45 मिनट्स टू 1 आवर कि इसका पूरी तरह से अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए दोज वंडरफुल स्ट्रक्चर्स, a unique architecture has developed in Kashmir. And I think temple architecture, if we go in a modern research, and we have to do a lot of research, we may come to know that temples existed in Kashmir even more than 5,000 years back. Because if we have certain temples, Shankaracharya, which some say that it is 3,500 years old. So that means that there was technology and there were buildings huge in Kashmir nearly 5,000 years back. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you very much. Now I will request Shri Bharat Bhushan Bhatt ji, जो मैंने पहले भी कहा, भारत जी बहुत ही लंबे समय से कश्मीर में काम कर रहे हैं, एक्टिविस्ट हैं. आई थिंक ही वाज यंगेस्ट एक्टिविस्ट in emergency in 1975 when he organized a resistance in Kashmir for total freedom. भारत जी इस वक्त जीटीआर, जिसको हम बोलते हैं ज्येष्ठा देवी प्रबंधन कमेटी के प्रेसिडेंट हैं, और उनको बहुत प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस है व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन कश्मीर. सो भारत जी.
Bharat ji, can you unmute yourself?
Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible. Yeah. अच्छी तरीके से.
As Utpal ji said rightly, Kalhana in Rajtarangni has said that there is not even a step where there is not a tirtha, a monastery, a temple, and a stapan. So in Kashmir, it was very rich in spiritual heritage. And I may tell you that restoration of temples in Kashmir is one of the prerequisites for return of Kashmiri Pandits to valley. But the situation is not that what we see or we look at. There is a planned way of erasing the symbols of faith of Kashmiri Pandits in Kashmir. Right from 1986, when there was Anantnag riots, it is Minister of Home Affairs, Government of India, their report, it was printed in Navbar Times in 93, that in 86, 36 temples in Anantnag district were destroyed. Then it didn't stop there only. 8 were destroyed in 1988, 12 were destroyed in 1989, then 5 were destroyed in 92, 91, and 24 in 92. And there was also a Home Ministry interministerial group which reports say that around 40% of the temples have been destroyed in Kashmir during last 33 years. We have entered yesterday, we have entered now 33rd year of our exile, our displacement. Utpalji will recall in 70s we had made a survey. We went to every village of Kashmir. We didn't go ourselves to all the villages, but we formed different groups, and Utpalji was also a part of that. And we visited around 350 villages of the Kashmir. And in every village, wherever there would be a Kashmiri Pandit living, even a single family, even a single household, there used to be a temple, there used to be a cremation ground. But now it has completely changed. Cremation grounds have been completely encroached. Temples are being desecrated, demolished, encroached at will. Quite very recently, just some days back, 3 days back, you have heard about the desecration and this vandalization of Tripur Sandri Kulgam. And this is also one of the important shrines. As you have read that while Hanumanji brought Mata Khirvani to Khirvani temple Tulumala, it rested at two other places. One is at Kupwara, Tikkar Kupwara, and other is at Tripur Sandri Kulgam, before finally landing it at Tulamala Khirwani. And all the other two places, that means Tikkar in Kupwara district and Tripur Sandri in this Kulgam district, there also are Mata temples, Mata Khirwani temples. And there is a large gathering on every Jyesht Ashtami. So the temples are the core to our art, because we are a community which are wedded, wedded to our the symbols of faith. We cannot compromise on our symbols of faith. We have to restore, we get to restore it. Our organizations are fighting this right now. The Premnath Bhatt Trust is fighting, rather entire community is fighting for passage of bill. But right now, about passage of bill, I would like to say that right now neither assembly is there, nor no bill is pending before assembly. So and temples are being desecrated every day, temples are being demolished every day, are damaged every day. Till that bill is formed, there should be some mechanism. Restoration, the passage of temples protection bill is a must. But till that bill is passed, and made applicable, there should be some mechanism to protect these temples. Otherwise, by the time the government of India decides that we should return, or we feel that it is a pleasant time, it is a prestigious time to return, by that time all temples will be nowhere. All temples must have been demolished. Right now, Tripur Sandri, it was 3 days back. Some 4 months back, Bagi Shakha temple near Mutton, there was a planned fire. Once we visited that place after that fire accident, wooden logs were placed around that statue, and fire was bilkul, it was aag laga di thi wahan. So it's a planned thing. They do it every time, because right now the situation in Kashmir is that Kashmiri Muslim is not ready to agree that Kashmiri Pandits should come to Kashmir, because they feel better off without Kashmiri Pandits, because it is all Islamization. There is nobody. We have got right now 808 families in Kashmir total. Those are also situated in very concentrated parts of Srinagar. And moreover, about the passage of the bill, unless the law has the teeth, unless the law is made enforceable on the ground, no rule can be there. We had distress sales, Migrants Property Act passed in 1977, but it did not stop encroachment. It did not stop sale, distress sale. It continued till recently. The governor of J&K made every DC answerable for the encroachment, for desecration, and for illegal distress sale of migrant property. So every rule, even if it is on a statute book, it needs teeth to get implemented on the ground. So even if the temples bill is passed, but it needs teeth so that it gets implemented. Laws are passed so that the onus of responsibility lie on DCs, on courts, or so that they take so much. Right now, I feel the passage of temples bill is a bit remote, because Karan Singh's Dharma Trust, they are not inclined that this bill should be passed. There are mahants and other sadhus like Chandrachanar, Dashnama Akhada, temples of Kashmir, because Kashmiri Pandits have migrated from that place, though our temples are unattended. So what is required right now, the state government, state administration, governor's administration, or government of India should constitute an administrative body to identify each and every temple in each and every village with respect to the revenue records. Identify the village, get it identified, get us demarcated, and keep it under the repository of deputy commissioner concerned. It is his responsibility to maintain its, ab initio character. Unless that is done, nothing on this world can stop, demolition of temples. It's a planned thing. It is being done. It has been done everything, and every temple that has a plan. Once a temple is desecrated or demolished or destroyed or burnt, the local people come and say, no, it was not we, somebody else from other village had come, somebody, the unknown people had come. But it is, ये उनकी रली मिली साजिश है. This is a combination of, there is a planned way of doing things so that they erase our memories of our astapals, our symbols of faith. We had conducted a picture exhibition of around 800 temples some 3 years back in Jammu and Kala Kendra. We displayed the photographs of 800 temples, 850 temples. What was their condition pre-90? What was their condition post-90? So people were worried. People were worried that if these temples are destroyed at such a pace, a fast speed, there will be nothing. The remains will also not be available. So DCs have to be made responsible. All the our shrines, our temples, our cremation grounds are identified with respect to the revenue records and kept under the control of DCs, so that those are preserved, those are protected, those are restored, and whosoever the Mandir committee is, they will come, they will start reconstruction work and make Kashmir as we used to live earlier. We have suffered a lot. We have suffered a lot. We have suffered a lot. People have left. It is now 33rd year of our displacement. But one thing is must, that for temples, we have to fight. We have not to fight at one front, we have to fight at different fronts. Right from the 1990, I have been attached with this temple movement. We just organized programs, we organized exhibitions, we just conducted press conferences, we gave memorandums to the government, to the Home Minister of the country, to Mahesh Sharma, this ex-cultural minister in the previous government of Narendra Modi. We had, that time also, we had given them a plan of temples which need restoration. Thankfully, he prepared Government of India, he agreed to our proposal, and through State Tourism Department, Deibal Mandir of this Baramulla district is being renovated. This Raghunath Mandir temple, Dalasan Yar, is being renovated. And there are certain, as Utpalji said, there are a number of temples wherefore the government of India has agreed to spend money for their restoration. But not only restoration, it has to be ensured that they are protected first. Government of, prior to governor's governor's rule in J&K, there was a deliberate attempt to withdraw security from these temples. As long as CRPF, Central Paramilitary Forces, remained in a temple, the temple remained safe, temple remained secure. But once they were withdrawn, temples were desecrated, temples were demolished, temples were burnt. So our appeal to the government of India and to the governance administration, JKUT, is that paramilitary forces be posted in every temple for its protection, for its safe renovation, and for protection of the yatris also who visit them. And for that, till everything managed, we should, I feel this global Kashmir Pandit diaspora is playing a very appreciable role. We would like you people to organize this tourist pilgrimage every year, at least twice a year. We could take a big group of people to different, let it be a 1 week's program. Srinagar, Hari Parbat, Kirwani, Shankaracharya, Tikar, Kulgam, the Tripura Kulgam, all these religious places, a trip, and they can go back. It can be arranged twice in a year so that we cannot leave Kashmir like this. We have to fight for every inch of land. So organizing culture, this pilgrim tourism is a must. We must encourage this, have 2 tours a year. People, in case there are organizations, they will pay for that. This tourists will pay for themselves also, but so that our connect with our roots is maintained. Our connect with our grassroots, where we have come from, is maintained. And we have, as I told you, that we had gone to 350 villages. 350 villages, every village had almost 3-4 canals of land was, every Shumshan Ghat was having 3-4 canals of land. So those land has already been enclosed. So it is a must that we have to prevail upon government of UT and government of India to get the these temples identified and demarcated and restored. Thank you, Utpal ji.
भारत जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका. आपने बहुत अच्छे से ये एक्सप्लेन किया है कि ग्राउंड रियलिटी क्या है कश्मीर में, और कुछ जो आतंकवादी है, जो उग्रवादी है, वो मतलब चाहते नहीं हैं कि कश्मीरी हिंदू वापस जाए, और वो चाहते नहीं कि कश्मीर में मंदिरों में फिर से पूजा अर्चना करेंगे, लेकिन उनकी हार हो जाएगी. वो ज्यादा देर ऐसा नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि हम कश्मीर में हजारों सालों से रह रहे हैं. कश्मीर हमारा घर है, और ये हमारी आस्था के केंद्र है सारे मंदिर. और जैसे आपने बताया, 1975 में जब हम गांव में गए सर्वे करने के लिए, और हमने पाया कि हर एक गांव, मुझे लगता है कि आपने तो 350 भी बोले, और मुझे लगता है कि आप और मैं, हम लगभग इकट्ठे 20-30 गांव में इकट्ठे गए थे, और हर एक गांव में हमने मंदिर पाया, और हमने हर एक गांव में हमने क्रिमेशन प्लेस पाई उस टाइम में. और मुझे लगता है कि मैं आपको आपके माध्यम से सबको बताना चाहता हूं कि ग्लोबल कश्मीरी पंडित डायस्पोरा की जो डेलीगेशन माननीय होम मिनिस्टर अमित शाह जी से मिले थे हम, और उन्होंने हमको पूरा आश्वासन दिया था कि हम कश्मीर में जितने भी आप 1400-1500 मंदिर बोलते हैं, सबको रेस्टोर करेंगे और सब में पूजा अर्चना करेंगे. ऐसा उन्होंने हमको विश्वास दिलाया है, और मैं पूरा मुझे विश्वास है उन पर, और जो उन्होंने कहा, जो वो कहते हैं वो करते हैं. तो मुझे लगता है कि ये कोविड की सिचुएशन की वजह से शायद इसमें डिले हो गया है, नहीं तो और भी काम इस पर होता. लेकिन हमारा काम है सरकार को याद दिलाना, हमारा काम है होम मिनिस्टर को, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी को, और लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर जो जम्मू कश्मीर के हैं माननीय मनोज सिन्हा जी, उनको याद दिलाना कि हमारे जो मंदिर हैं, हमारे जो आस्था के केंद्र है, इनको फिर से आपने कैसे प्रोटेक्शन देनी है, उनको कैसे बचाना है. अब मैं निवेदन करूंगा वीरेंद्र रैना जी पिछले 30 साल से जम्मू में बहुत ही एक्टिव हैं, एक्टिविस्ट हैं. कश्मीर पर उनकी और कश्मीरी हिंदू पर अपनी एक सोच है. कई बार उनके हमने उद्बोधन लेक्चर सुने हैं, कई बार उनके लेख पढ़े हैं और कई सालों से वो प्रेमनाथ बस ट्रस्ट के साथ मिलकर इस जो टेम्पल बिल है और इनके जो कार्य है उन पर लगे हुए हैं। मैं वीरेंद्र जी रैना से निवेदन करूंगा कि वो अपना उद्बोधन करें। वीरेंद्र जी।
सबसे पहले मैं राकेश जी को नमस्कार करता हूं। ही इज सच एन एनॉर्मस रिपोजिटरी ऑफ नॉलेज एंड विजडम। जब भी इनको सुनते हैं तो वो कहते हैं ना, मंत्र मुग्ध रह जाता है आदमी। मुझे ऐसा महसूस होता है कि अगर इनके पास समय हो तो ही कैन गो ऑन एंड ऑन एंड ऑन। और उनका जो उद्बोधन होता है उसमें बिल्कुल जो कहते हैं ना कि चिजल्ड, और सारी जो अंदर की जो मूल और गूढ़ इन्होंने निकाला होता है निष्कर्ष, वो हमें बताते हैं। तो आज भी इन्होंने यही उद्बोधन किया और हमें रियली आई एम हाईली मैं humbled by your knowledge of Kashmir and its temples and its culture. मैं भारत भूषण जी का भी नमस्कार करता हूं। इन्होंने बहुत कार्य किया कश्मीर में। मैं उत्पल जी, हमारे भाई, ये तो एक्टिविस्ट हैं और संघर्ष करते रहे हैं पिछले 30-40 वर्षों से। डॉक्टर शेफाली का भान जी, मैं उन्हें भी देखने को मिलता है अवसर कई बार, किस प्रकार से वो अपने व्यस्त समय में से निकाल के किस प्रकार से वो कश्मीरी पंडितों के संघर्ष को अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन प्रदान करते हैं। अब चूंकि समय की पॉसिटी है इसलिए मैं बिल्कुल ब्रीफ में कुछ बातें यहाँ पे रखूंगा। 2010 में in 2010 I had the opportunity to join this struggle for temples. Before that I was already into activism of Kashmiri Pandits in Pannu Kashmir. तो प्रेमनाथ भट्ट मेमोरियल ट्रस्ट उन्होंने मुझे इनवाइट किया कि आप भी हमारे साथ चलिए। तो मैंने कहा कि that be a great pleasure if I'll be able to contribute in any way in the struggle for temples. तो उसके बाद एक बिल बनाया गया, कश्मीरी पंडित टेम्पल्स एंड श्राइन्स बिल, जिसको 2-3 बार चिजल किया गया, उसने अलग अलग तरीके से उसको ठीक ठाक करके ये एक सही बिल है और इसको सरकार के सामने लाने के लिए स्ट्रगल किया गया। एंड आई बिलीव दैट द बिल created enormous what you call consciousness all over the globe regarding the condition of temples in Kashmir. मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि देखिए, टेम्पल बिल पास नहीं हुआ है, लेकिन इसका जो एंसिलरी बेनिफिट्स इसके ऐसे निकल के आए हैं कि मतलब लोग इतने अवेयर हो गए हैं टेम्पल्स के बारे में। अगर थोड़ा सा भी कहीं पे एनक्रोचमेंट होता है या किसी प्रकार की कोई ऐसी वहां पे वेंडलाइजेशन होती है तो लोग इमीडिएटली दे गो टू द अथॉरिटीज, गो टू द डीसी, गो टू द प्रेस। तो उस वजह से जो है वेंडलाइजेशन और इस प्रकार के, जैसे पिछले ही कुछ दिनों में, जैसे मैं यहाँ पे बोलूंगा गुलमर्ग में, हांगुलगुंड में, वोईमू में, बर्गशिखा माता बटन में, कारकूट नाग में, माता त्रिपुर सुंदरी, इन जगहों पे अटेम्प्ट्स हुए जहां पे यूजरपेशन की, कई बार लैंड को यूजर्प करने की या मंदिर में वेंडलाइजेशन करने के अटेम्प्ट्स किए गए। लेकिन हमारे इंटरवेंशन की वजह से, ट्रस्ट की इंटरवेंशन की वजह से और जनरल पब्लिक और उन मंदिरों की जो अपनी बॉडीज हैं उनके इंटरवेंशन से भी थोड़ा बहुत उसको रोकने में कामयाबी मिली। अब ऐसा है कि देखिए, अभी हमने मंदिरों की जो अपनी फ्लैजलिंग बॉडीज हैं या कुछ में अच्छी मैनेजमेंट भी हैं, जो वहां के मंदिर हैं उनमें अपनी बॉडीज तो थी 30 से पहले, माइग्रेशन से पहले। उसके बाद वो यहाँ आ गए, कई बार उनकी मैनेजमेंट्स में काफी बुजुर्ग हैं और वो भी अलग अलग देश के भागों में है। हमने उन मैनेजमेंट से ऐसा कहा कि आप ऐसा कीजिए, अब आप यंगर जनरेशन को इन मैनेजमेंट्स को ट्रांसफर कर दीजिए, उनके अकाउंट्स वगैरह वो सारे उनको ट्रांसफर कर दीजिए, ताकि यंगर जनरेशन उनको एक्टिवली उन बॉडीज को टेक ओवर कर सके और उनके विषय में जो है थोड़ा बहुत जो भी मैनेजमेंट है उसको कर सके। तो इस पे काफी हमारा एग्रीमेंट है उन मैनेजमेंट्स के साथ जो इस प्रकार से। उससे ऐसा है कि कुछ तो मंदिर है जो कि अभी जिनमें थोड़ी बहुत फ्लैजलिंग मैनेजमेंट है और वो बच जाएंगे उस तरीके से। और अभी देखिए हाई कोर्ट में भी एक इधर अपना जो दुर्गानाथ टेम्पल है उसमें जो उनके वो ट्रांसफर के विषय में हाई कोर्ट ने रोक दिया। हाई कोर्ट ने कहा नहीं, ये ट्रांसफर नहीं हो सकता, ये इसकी सेल परचेज नहीं हो सकती। तो हाई कोर्ट ने भी इसमें ऐसे डिसीजंस दे रही है, क्योंकि जैसा माइग्रेंट प्रॉपर्टी एक्ट जो है वो ठीक है, उसमें कमियां हैं, लेकिन उसमें मंदिरों को भी अब ले लिया गया है कि अगर कोई एनक्रोचमेंट होती है या कोई किसी प्रकार का कोई ऐसा जमीन वगैरह हड़पने का प्रयास होता है तो समरी ट्रायल होगी। समरी ट्रायल में ऐसा है कि अगर आप सिविल कोर्ट में जाएंगे तो फिर तो 30-40 साल के लिए आप गए, लेकिन समरी ट्रायल में ऐसा है कि एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव मेजर्स के थ्रू डीसीज को कहा गया है कि आप 1 महीने के अंदर अंदर समरली जो एनक्रोचर है उसको बाहर फेंकिए। तो ऐसे कुछ कुछ अच्छे इकदाम हुए हैं। अब जहां पे देखिए अर्ली जब ये स्ट्रगल स्टार्ट हुआ उस वक्त मैं भी मोस्ट ऑफ द डेलीगेशंस का हिस्सा था, जो चीफ मिनिस्टर उमर अब्जाद से मिले, महबूबा मुफ्ती से मिले, अब्दुल रहीम राथर से मिले, इन सब ने तो बहुत कहा कि नहीं हम तो चाहते हैं कि मंदिर बिल आए। और यहाँ पे के एक दोनों चीफ मिनिस्टरों ने, एक चीफ मिनिस्टर ने हमसे उस टाइम कहा कि आप मुझे दिल्ली से मैडम से एक फोन करवा दीजिए तो मैं बिल पास कर दूंगा। दूसरी चीफ मिनिस्टर ने भी कहा कि जो उनके कोalition पार्टनर है आप उनसे मुझे एक फोन करवा दीजिए मैं बिल पास कर दूंगा। अब उसमें कितनी सिंसियरिटी थी कितनी नहीं थी ये तो भगवान ही जानता है। तो इस स्थिति में मैं कहता हूं कि बिल जो था वो एक पॉलिटिकल स्टेज पे पहुंच गया था। बिल के विषय में जो कुछ भी करना था वो ट्रस्ट ने कर दिया था अपने संघर्ष के माध्यम से, लेकिन अगर बिल पास नहीं हो पाया उसमें केवल और केवल राजनीतिक कारण थे, उसमें और कोई कारण नहीं था। क्योंकि हम जो कहते हैं कि अगर वक्फ बोर्ड के लिए मस्जिदों और उनके लिए वक्फ बोर्ड हो सकता है और गुरुद्वारों के लिए गुरुद्वारा प्रबंधक कमेटी हो सकती है, तो कश्मीरी पंडितों के मंदिरों के लिए क्यों नहीं हो सकता? क्योंकि ये तो 5000 वर्षों से अधिक का इतिहास है, इंडिजिनस लोग हैं वहां के, तो इनकी प्रोटेक्शन का तो बहुत ही अशद जरूरत है। और इस पुस्तक के माध्यम से जो कि राकेश जी को भी प्राप्त हुई है, इस पुस्तक के माध्यम से 1403 टेम्पल्स, श्राइन्स, शमशान भूमिस का जो हमने इंडेक्सिंग है वो की है और उनका पूरा उनके कागजात उनका सारा कुछ हमने इसमें किया हुआ है। उसमें मेरे हिसाब से अभी भी 6-6.5 जो मंदिर हैं, श्राइन्स हैं और शमशान भूमियां हैं वो इस टाइम एग्जिस्टिंग कंडीशन में हैं, जिनको कि हम कर सकते हैं किसी तरीके से। और जैसा मेरा कहना है कि अगर बिल पास हो जाता है उसमें न केवल प्रिजर्वेशन एंड प्रोटेक्शन बट रेक्लेमेशन ऑल्सो का भी प्रावधान हमने रखा है। अब जैसे सबसे बड़ा जो लैंड ग्रैब का केस था वो ज्वालाजी मंदिर में था। ज्वालाजी मंदिर की 200-300 कनाल जमीन का तो खरीद फरोख्त कर दिया गया था, लेकिन उसके बाद ज्वालाजी मंदिर, हालांकि वो धर्मार्थ ट्रस्ट के अंदर आता है, लेकिन उसकी अपनी बॉडी है जिसके मिस्टर रैना है, एक बहुत ही वेरी वेरी कॉन्शियस सिटीजन, तो उनके माध्यम से इतना इंटरवेंशन किया गया कि डीसीज वगैरह को इंटरवीन करके उस सेल को नल एंड वाइड करार दिया गया। उसी प्रकार से जैसे उत्पल जी हैं, जैसे विताल भैरव के मंदिर में वहां के सारे रैना वारियंस इकट्ठे हो गए तो वो दे कुड स्टॉप। और जो ज्वालाजी टेम्पल के यूजरपर्स थे वही विताल भैरव का भी सेम नोटोरियस फेलो वाज इन्वॉल्वड इन विताल भैरव आल्सो एज वेल एज इन ज्वालाजी टेम्पल। इसी प्रकार से गणपत यार टेम्पल की 100-200 कनाल जमीन निशात बाग में, इट्स अ वैल्यूएबल रियल एस्टेट। तो मैं वही कह रहा हूं कि जो ये संघर्ष है, संघर्ष का ये नहीं है कि संघर्ष का कोई हमें फायदा नहीं हुआ। संघर्ष अपने आप, खैर वो छोड़िए, वो तो अपने आप में फायदा है ही है, संघर्ष का अपना जो मजा है वो तो अलग चीज है। इसका नतीजा ये नहीं कि बिल पास नहीं हुआ, उसके साथ साथ जो एक कॉन्शियसनेस जनरेट हो गई ग्लोबल लेवल पे कि मंदिर हैं, मंदिर बचाने हैं, और कॉन्शियसनेस इतनी हो गई कि अब सब अवेयर हैं। किसी प्रकार की अगर कोई ऐसी बदमाशी होती भी है वहां तो उसको चेक करने के लिए बहुत शीघ्र कदम उठाए जा रहे हैं। हालांकि वो कम है लेकिन फिर भी कुछ ना कुछ तो वहां पे हो रहा है। अब जहां तक देखिए, जैसे भारत भूषण जी ने भी कहा, ये देखिए सबसे बड़ा रोड़ा क्या था? सबसे बड़ा रोड़ा ये था कि वहां जो एस्टैब्लिश्ड वहां की संस्थाएं थी, जैसे धर्मार्थ ट्रस्ट था, 3 वहां की संस्थाएं जो कि सबसे बड़ी थी, इसके अलावा कुछ छोटी भी थी, धर्मार्थ ट्रस्ट, श्री चंद चिनार और बाबा धर्मदास। इनके बहुत पावरफुल और बहुत ही वेल एस्टैब्लिश्ड इनके बोर्ड्स थे। तो इन्होंने सरकार को ये कायल किया कि देखिए हम मंदिरों के जो है सुरक्षा कर रहे हैं, जो मंदिर हमारे अंडर हैं वो तो हमने मेंटेन किए हुए हैं। लेकिन यहाँ पे मेरा पर्सनली ये मानना था, जो कि मैंने बोर्ड में भी कई बार बोर्ड मेंबर्स को बताया, मैंने कहा कि कश्मीर एक इतना बड़ा डेमोग्राफिक चैलेंज वहां बन गया है, वहां आबादी भी बढ़ रही है और ये एक वैली है, यहाँ उसका लेटरल ऐसे एक्सपेंशन हो नहीं सकता पहाड़ों का कि जगह बढ़ जाएगी। उसी जगह में इतना ज्यादा कश्मीर के जो इकोसिस्टम है उसको दिन ब दिन श्रिंक होता जा रहा है। और इवन मैं कह रहा हूं कि जिसकी बैड इंटेंशन है वो तो मंदिर को यूजर्व करेगा, लेकिन जिन बोर्ड्स की गुड इंटेंशंस भी है, मैं मानता हूं 5 मिनट के लिए, कुछ बोर्ड्स की गुड इंटेंशंस भी हैं, उनके ऊपर भी आने वाले समय में इतना दबाव बन जाएगा डेमोग्राफिक कि वो बचा नहीं पाएंगे। वो बचाएंगे की बात नहीं, वो बचा नहीं पाएंगे अपना अस्तित्व को, क्योंकि इतना अधिक डेमोग्राफिक उस पर चैलेंज आ रहा है मंदिरों पे। इसी वजह से हम कह रहे हैं कि जब तक एक सरकारी बिल जिसके पीछे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मैकेनिज्म नहीं हो, फोर्स ऑफ लॉ नहीं हो, तब तक मंदिरों का बचना वो काफी मुश्किल है, क्योंकि कश्मीरी पंडित अभी कश्मीर में बसे नहीं है, अभी वो वापस रीसेटलमेंट हुआ नहीं है। और हम सरकार से ये भी कहते हैं कि सबसे बड़ा एक जो कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग मेजर होगा कश्मीरी पंडित को अगर कश्मीर जाना है, तो मंदिरों का संरक्षण बहुत जरूरी है। क्योंकि मेरे एक गुरुदेव ने मुझे कहा था कि सबसे पहले ऑल्टर बनाइए, कमरे में भी वो मुझे कहते थे ऑल्टर बनाइए, वंस यू मेक द ऑल्टर एवरीथिंग विल बिल्ड अराउंड इट। तो वही मैं कहता हूं कश्मीर में भी लेट अस बिल्ड द ऑल्टर, लेट्स प्रोटेक्ट द ऑल्टर एंड आवर सिविलाइजेशन वुड गेट रीबिल्ट अराउंड दोस टेम्पल्स। हम पुनः कश्मीर में स्थापित होंगे, और जहां हमारे पूर्वजों ने 5000 वर्षों से हमारी सभ्यता को हमें बचाए रखा और हमें इस पोजीशन में पहुंचाया कि हम मंदिरों के संघर्ष कर सके, इस सैक्रेड और इस सत्य की लड़ाई में हम हिस्सा ले रहे हैं, और इसका एक पार्ट हैं। और ये हमारे लिए एक बहुत ही प्रिविलेज है, जो कि हमारे बुजुर्गों की देन है। तो हम इस संघर्ष का हिस्सा हैं, ये हमारे लिए एक बहुत बड़ी प्रिविलेज है, और हम संघर्ष को जारी रखेंगे और कश्मीर में पुनः स्थापित होंगे, और यही हम यंगर जनरेशन तक पहुंचाएंगे, और हम लड़ेंगे और अपने मंदिरों को, अपनी संस्कृति को, अपने कश्मीर को पुनः प्राप्त करेंगे। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद वीरेंद्र जी। हाँ, हम बहुत बड़े भाग्यशाली हैं, हम सब भाग्यशाली हैं, क्योंकि हम इस स्ट्रगल के भागीदार हैं। We are not only witness to this struggle, we are part of this struggle to make it sure that all our temples and shrines are renovated, they are safe. और मैं बिल्कुल भारत जी के साथ एग्री करता हूं कि कोविड की सिचुएशन ठीक हो तो हम सब प्रयास करेंगे कि अपने बच्चों को खीर भवानी ले जाएं, अमरनाथ ले जाएं, शंकराचार्य ले जाएं, त्रिपुर सुंदरी का मंदिर दिखाएं, रैनावारी में विताल भैरव दिखाएं, हम दुर्गा नाग का मंदिर दिखाएंगे, और सारे जितने भी श्रीनगर में 8 भैरव हैं उनके दर्शन करवाएं। और क्योंकि जैसे आपने कहा 5000 10,000 साल से हमारी यही संस्कृति है, और विदाउट आवर श्राइन्स, विदाउट आवर दीज सिंबल्स ऑफ फेथ ऑफ सनातन धर्म, हमारी तो एग्जिस्टेंस ही कुछ नहीं है। मैं शफालिका जी।
जी, थैंक यू उत्पल जी। आई डोंट हैव एनीथिंग।
चाहता हूं कि आप सबको विधिवत धन्यवाद
जी 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 थैंक यू। सबसे पहले तो आपका धन्यवाद उत्पल जी, आपने सबको यहाँ बुलाया। इट वाज वेरी वेरी इंस्पायरिंग टू हियर, यू नो, भारत भूषण जी, वीरेंद्र रैना जी। I mean, Zeet here obviously is very, very close to our heart. But एक चीज end में I just wanted to say, okay, and of course Rakesh ji, always very inspiring. Okay, it's very painful, you know, when you see people desecrating and vandalizing your temples, and because they are not just temples, you know. They are, you know, Sharika, Bhagavati, Ragna, they are close to our heart. So ये temple में नहीं है ये बसते, ये हमारे दिल में बसते हैं. So every time something happens, you know, you feel really very, very painful. But what these people don't realize, that who are doing this, is that we will get these shrines and temples back, because they are part of us. You know, they're not separate from us. You know, when we think of our childhood, you know, जैसे Hari Parbat, जैसे I remember, you know, my mama ji for 40 years, every morning at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, used to go to Hari Parbat for 40 years, rain, shine, snow. तो क्या तो इतनी आस्था है. And even looking at myself, I was a kid, कुछ भी घर में अच्छा हो, बुरा हो, कोई परेशानी हो, तो हम लोग सीधा तुलमुल जाते थे, So it was like, it is a part of our life. So it is not going to go away. So return to Kashmir to chalta hi rahega, but these temples are going to be the main thing. And I think Government of India has probably realized or will realize, I don't know. पर एक hope है, because मोदी जी ने काशी का इतना renovation किया, तो hopefully हमारी तरफ भी थोड़ी दया दृष्टि पड़ेगी, क्योंकि किसी टाइम अब सब कर रहे हैं तो ये भी कर लेंगे. पर obviously the onus is on us, क्योंकि हमारे मंदिर है, हमको उनको रेस्टोर करना है. और जब तक so but anyway, wherever we are in the world, we carry our gods with us. London में है या US में है, तो Sharika Bhagwati and Ragna Bhagwati are within us. So but obviously symbols are important, these places are important. So on that note, thank you all. Rakesh ji wants to make a comment.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Shpalaka ji. I want to pick up on what Virender ji said. He and Bharat Bhushan ji are frontline warriors. We need to empower them. And I would suggest now, as we enter the 33rd year, that we start a Temple Chalo movement. And this Temple Chalo movement should have 3 aspects to it. Number one, as a Kashmiri Pandit, doesn't matter where you are, you have connectivity with a certain temple in the valley. Please go ahead and connect with that temple community. Create that community by temple. So for example, Utpalji, thanks to him, we are both Ranawari brothers. He has connected me to my community that my ancestors, my family participated in. Remember, smaller groups are always more engaged and are always more spiritual than these vast congregational groups. So that was the secret we had as a community, that we created very intimate, small, intense groups that traveled together on these spiritual journeys. So become a part of a temple community. And if you are based in a Anantnag, doesn't matter if these demons burn down the temple. Doesn't matter. That justice we will get, but you can connect metaphysically with that spiritual energy, because that metaphysical energy cannot be destroyed. So number one, connect with it. Number two, as Virendraji said in passing, which is so important, we are trained after 700 years that every home has its puja room. Put the altar of your temple in Kashmir in there as a reminder. Not just Ragnia, not just Sharika, that temple, your Bhagwati. Put that altar in your puja room. Carry that altar with you. And number three is liturgy. Texts. Every temple had its sacred texts and rituals. I know there's a lot of interest in Catholic Shaivism. I am as interested in it as anybody else. But when it came to each temple, if you're a follower of Ragnya, then you better know the Ragnya Sahasranaam. If you're a follower of Ram Temple, know your rite. That was the beautiful thing about being a Kashmiri Pandit, that you could practice your own rite. There wasn't somebody out there with a sword. You could follow your own spiritual way. So I would say, Temple Chalo, pick up a temple that your family was part of, that your parents, your ancestors gave their blood, sweat, and tears to build. Reconnect with it. Bring the altar in your home and pick up the liturgical texts and try to understand the secrets that are waiting for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh ji. Thank you, Utpal ji. I think we'll finish now. Anything you wanted to say, Utpal ji?
मैं राकेश जी ने मुझे थोड़ा सा पॉजिटिवली प्रवोक किया, तो मैं एक चीज बताना चाहता था कि जब मुझे लगा कि मैं जम्मू में था, थोड़ा थोड़ा एक्सोडस शुरू हुआ था, थोड़ा थोड़ा नहीं, एक्सोडस पूरी तरह से शुरू हुआ था, तो मेरी ग्रैंड मदर, शी वाज 90 और मेरे पेरेंट्स थे वहां पर। तो मैंने मदर को फोन किया कि आप जल्दी से निकलो और आप जल्दी से अपना ठोकुर कोट गयो ताकि तुलियो तो ठोकुर पानो, गोद में आप मंदिर ले आओ, और वही सिंबल, वही हमारी वेल्थ है। दैट इज द वेल्थ आई हैव हियर। पता नहीं 300 साल, 350 साल, 400 साल से हमारे पूर्वजों ने उसकी पूजा की है, और आज हम उसी तरह से उस कंटिन्यूअसली वो पूजा करेंगे और आगे भी चलते रहेंगे। और राकेश जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आपने ये आइडिया दिया। वी विल टेक दिस आइडिया फॉरवर्ड एंड विल मेक इट श्योर दैट our temples Thokurkut at our home will be preserved and prayed and पूजा अर्चना और रेस्पेक्ट के साथ ये सब होगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद शफालिका जी, आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।